Your financial breakthrough prayer isn't working because it's only half a prayer. The second half exists, it's all through Scripture, and almost no one teaches it. Tonight, I can prove it to you with 2 women from the same Bible study. Same Wednesday night for 4 years. Both of them have prayed the exact same prayer more times than they could count. Lord, send a financial breakthrough. Both of them mean it. Both of them believe it. One of them is still praying those same words tonight. Be honest. She might be you. The other one hasn't prayed that prayer in over a year. Not because she stopped believing God provides, because she doesn't need to ask anymore. She already built it. Same prayer, same God, same folding chairs, completely different result. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 7 things that separated them. And by the last one, you'll know exactly why one prayer moved and the other didn't. It was never about how hard either woman believed. Here's a number worth sitting with before we start. Around 2,350 verses in the Bible deal with money. The financial breakthrough prayer, the one whispered at midnight, typed into prayer group chats, posted under strangers' comments asking for agreement, usually pulls from about 4 of them. Provision. Trust. Don't be anxious. Ask and you'll receive. That's real. It's just a sliver of the map. Most people have never seen the rest of it, so drop one word in the comments right now. Waiting or building. At the end, I'll tell you what that word predicts. Let's look at what's actually happening when the prayer goes quiet. Number 1, the prayer is real. It's just missing its second half. Picture the moment right after the amen. Eyes open. Now what? For most people, nothing. They stand up and walk straight back into the same spending, the same avoidance, the same unopened banking app. Look at 2 Kings chapter 4. A widow, debt collectors coming for her sons. She cries out to Elisha. Here's the line almost nobody quotes. Elisha doesn't just pray over her. He gives her instructions. Go around and ask your neighbors for empty jars, and don't ask for just a few. The oil filled exactly as many jars as she gathered, not one more. James 2:26 names the pattern directly. Faith without deeds is dead, not faith without a grand gesture. Faith without deeds, plural, small, almost boring. Your prayer isn't incomplete because your faith is too small. It's incomplete because nobody ever handed you the second half of the instructions. The widow's need didn't change the moment she prayed. It changed the moment she gathered the jars. Number 2, the waiting is quietly training your body against the prayer itself. Pray about the same $600 shortfall for 11 months straight, and something shifts. Not your faith, your nervous system. It starts pairing prayer with disappointment, not consciously. Just a flicker of dread, right before the first word leaves your mouth. That's not weak faith. That's repetition doing what repetition does. Chronic money stress trains the body to brace against the thing that keeps hurting it. That's documented, and it doesn't care whether the thing is a bill or a prayer about the bill. Prayer about money can quietly become one more thing the body braces against, instead of the place it runs toward. Philippians 4:6 puts thanksgiving right next to the request. It's there as a circuit breaker. Skip the thanksgiving, and every prayer starts to feel like walking back into the room where you've been disappointed 10 times already. Consider a woman named Rhonda. 2 years of praying over the same overdue balance, word for word, almost every night. Somewhere in year 2, she noticed she was rushing the prayer, getting it over with. Not because she doubted God, because some part of her expected the same silence that had followed the last several hundred times. She added one sentence to the end of it. Thank you that I have a roof tonight. Small. Almost nothing. Within a few weeks, she noticed she wasn't rushing anymore. The circuit breaker Philippians describes isn't a mood. It's a mechanism, and it works whether or not you feel like using it. Number 3, most breakthrough prayers are vague on purpose because naming the number feels like doubt. Look at Nehemiah, cupbearer to a king, his people's wall in ruins back home. He prays first, for months. But when the king finally asks what he wants, Nehemiah doesn't say, whatever you think is best. He answers on the spot with a specific request. Letters of protection. Timber from the king's own forest. A timeline. Nehemiah 2:8 gives credit for the answer to the gracious hand of God on him. but the hand of God moved through a request specific enough for a king to act on. Compare that to how most financial breakthrough prayers actually sound. Lord, help my finances. Lord, meet my needs. True, but far too vague for anyone, including the person praying it, to know what answered would even look like. Vague prayers get vague answers, or no answer anyone can point to at all. If your prayer has been, Lord, help my finances, that's not a small faith problem. It's an aim problem. A man named Anthony prayed that exact sentence for the better part of a year. Help my finances. Nothing to point to, nothing to act on, nothing that changed. A friend finally asked him one question. Help with what, specifically? Anthony realized he'd never actually said the number out loud, not even to himself. $1,100 in overdue medical bills. The week he started praying that specific figure by name, he also, almost as a side effect, opened the hospital's billing portal for the first time in months and set up a payment plan. The prayer didn't change. The aim did. Name the number. Name the bill. Name the debt by amount. See what changes. If this is the kind of verse-by-verse breakdown you've been looking for, take a moment to subscribe, because this channel puts one of these up every week, and each one builds on the last. Miss this one, and the next one won't hit the same way. Number 4. Most people are praying for a check. God's actual promise was the capacity to build one. Deuteronomy 8:18 gets quoted in nearly every stewardship sermon. Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth. Let me say that slowly. Not wealth, the ability to produce it. The Hebrew word underneath ability is koach, strength, capacity, power to move. That's a different prayer than send me $2,000. One asks to receive. The other asks to be equipped. Put a number on the difference. $200 a month, invested at historical market averages and left alone for 30 years, becomes roughly $298,000. Nobody prayed that number into existence overnight. Somebody built it, slowly, on a capacity that was given, not a check that fell from the sky. Even a smaller number tells the same story. $50 a month, same 30 years, becomes close to $75,000. Small, repeated, and built is still built. God has likely been answering the prayer. He actually promised this whole time, while the check kept not arriving because it was never the target in the first place. Number 5. The debt has quietly been treated like a verdict instead of a starting point. Late at night, staring at a number that won't move, a thought surfaces. Is this because of me? Is God punishing me? Almost nobody says it out loud. It's one of the most common silent beliefs sitting underneath an unanswered money prayer. Look at Deuteronomy 15. God wrote a reset directly into the law. Every 7 years, debt's released, canceled. And in Leviticus 25, he went even further, the year of Jubilee, a full restoration. He didn't design any of that for people who never struggle. He designed it because he knew they would. Lamentations 3:33 says it plainly. He does not willingly bring affliction to anyone. A God who wrote debt forgiveness into his own law is not using your debt as a punishment. Your balance is not a verdict. It's a starting point with a designed way through. Release was always meant to be a door, not a sentence. Number 6. The prayer that isn't moving is often a prayer being prayed completely alone. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12 lays out something practical, not just poetic. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. And a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. That passage sits inside a book about work and money as much as it sits inside a book about relationships. A prayer whispered alone at midnight, with no one else aware of the number, tends to stay exactly that. A prayer and only a prayer. The same request, said out loud to one trusted person, tends to turn into a plan somebody helps you keep. Not because God needs a witness, because you do. A woman named Jen carried 3 years of credit card debt without telling a single person in her church, including her own sister. She was ashamed. When she finally said the number out loud in a small group, nobody gasped. 2 other women in that same circle admitted they were carrying almost the exact same balance. Within a month, the 3 of them had built an informal habit of checking in with each other every payday. The debt didn't vanish that night, but it stopped being a secret she was praying about entirely alone, and within a year, all three had made real progress they hadn't made in the 3 years before. If nobody else on earth knows your actual number, that silence has been quietly working against the very prayer you keep repeating. Number 7. This is the one that actually separated the two women from the start. Same prayer, same words. One of them added a single boring action underneath it, an automatic transfer she barely felt. One overdue conversation with her husband about the budget. One number finally said out loud to someone else. Proverbs 21:5 settles it plainly. The plans of the diligent lead to profit. Not the prayers of the diligent, the plans. Her breakthrough wasn't a moment where the sky opened. It was months of one small action running quietly underneath a prayer that, by itself, had gone unanswered for years. Now go back to the two women one more time, because you can see the whole picture. Both of them prayed for a breakthrough. One kept the prayer vague, alone, and detached from any action, and the waiting slowly trained her body to dread the very words she was praying. The other named her number out loud to one person, paired the prayer with one automatic transfer, and let a small, unglamorous plan run quietly underneath the same request. God answered both of them. Only one of them gave him something to work with. So here's the whole thing, put back together. Your prayer isn't broken, and neither is your faith. It's running on 4 verses out of 2,350. It's missing the deed that gives faith something to stand on. It's too vague to act on. It's aimed at a check instead of the capacity God actually promised. It's carrying guilt that was never supposed to be there. It's being prayed in complete isolation. And it's missing the one small action that turns waiting into building. Keep praying the prayer you've been praying. Just stop praying it vague, alone, and unattached to a single moving part. Tonight, name the number. Tell one person. Set up one transfer, even $10. Faith gets something to stand on the moment it has a deed underneath it. Remember the word you dropped at the start, waiting or building. That word predicts which of the two women you're becoming. If you wrote waiting, that's not a failure. That's just where these 7 things haven't landed yet. Come back to this list once a week until they have. And if you're starting your one small action tonight, go back to your comment and change your word to building. I'm reading every single one. If this gave you something you needed tonight, subscribe. That's the whole reason this channel exists. This is Bible assets. God didn't forget your finances, and he hasn't forgotten you.